Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Abhi from Canadian Tamil Women Development Organization. We're here at the International Women's Day 2014 conference put on for you by the CTWDO. I'm here with John Argue, who is the coordinator at the Sri Lankan coordinator for Amnesty International. So John, what are your thoughts so far about this conference, especially from your position within Amnesty International as a coordinator of Sri Lanka, for Sri Lanka?
I'm just fascinated to be here. I find it fascinating to focus on women's concerns and women's issues in particular, just because Amnesty International has traditionally focused on women's rights, human rights in general, including women's rights. But my interest today, of course, and from hearing knowledgeable women who are here at this conference, is to hear women's concerns and women's human rights or women's issues from the perspective of women, which I'm really enjoying. And I think Amnesty should do more, frankly, in this regard. Clearly, there are women's organizations and women's groups and individual women who feel strongly about human rights and therefore are members of Amnesty and see Amnesty as useful, for fighting for women's rights. And clearly, Amnesty is in solidarity and working with them in that regard.
Perfect.
It's part of the essence of Amnesty. But my only point in my enjoyment today is that I find it particularly interesting to speak of women's concerns directly and focusing on women's concerns, because that's not always done. Yes. When you speak generally about improving the human rights in Sri Lanka, for example, you don't necessarily speak specifically of women's human rights. So that's the pleasure of a conference like today's conference.
Right. Perfect. And is Amnesty International doing anything for International Women's Day?
Yes, it is, and you catch me because I focus on Sri Lanka. Okay. So I'm not sure what else or what specifically they would be doing, but clearly it's an important enough day in terms of human rights that Amnesty undoubtedly will be making a statement on March 8th, 1 week from now. And in support of women, and presumably they would give examples of women's human rights that are being violated, and therefore expressing solidarity with them and support of the women who are having difficulty.
And I'm sure folks can find information on your website as well.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you off guard with that question, but
no, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I just have a limited and fascinating focus on Sri Lanka, of course.
And we appreciate that. Okay, and were you before coming here? Were you familiar with a lot of the struggles that women face in Tamil? Yeah.
Yes, I am. I've been to Sri Lanka 10 times myself, including into the Valley in 2006 and 2008, I guess. So I've been twice in the north area, and therefore I've spoken to people in English. Unfortunately, I don't speak Tamil. But I have spoken to a variety of people in Sri Lanka itself. And of course, part of my role that I enjoy here in Canada is to keep in touch with many people in diaspora groups in Canada. And so I'm in touch with some of the women who are here today and who I have met.
Perfect, great. So as a coordinator, what are your...
My role is twofold, I think, if I can help you.
Okay.
Because I think I try to educate or at least inform, publicize what Amnesty is doing, educate people about what Amnesty is doing in regard to human rights in Sri Lanka, and of course thinking of today in particular, including women's concerns as well. But the pleasure today, of course, is speaking about that as well. And then another role I have is to meet with diaspora groups, and then to meet even with the Sri Lanka High Commissioner to speak to her at this time, because it's a man or a woman, usually women, I think, in the last few years. trying to explain to the representative of Sri Lanka what Amnesty believes and the kind of changes that Amnesty believes should occur. And we don't always agree, to understate it.
Okay.
but we do have good conversations and respect one another's points of view, and hear one out in that regard. And then as well, I speak to people in Canadian politics, in the public service, in foreign affairs ministry, as well as politicians, about Amnesty's concerns.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
We hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. I don't want to take up too much of your
It's an
time.
excellent day, and I'll follow up. I'll speak to people, definitely.
Okay,
and see
perfect.
how
We
can
appreciate
cooperate.
that. We appreciate that. Thank you. That's
All
what
right.
it's all about, right?
My
Solidarity.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so again, this is John Argue. He is the coordinator, the Sri Lankan coordinator at Amnesty International. My name is Abhi. I'm from the Canadian Tamil Women's Development Organization here at the International Women's Day Conference put on to you by the CTWDO. And this is from Anale Express. Thank you.